Hello, friends. It's Kevin with Seacoast Technology Workshops. Today, we are going to learn how to make a simple catch the apple game using Scratch. This is an easy game and great for beginners or those who are just trying to learn the basics of Scratch. So the game functions like this. There's a simple bowl that we can move left and right using the arrow keys on the keypad, and we try to collect apples. Each time we collect an apple, you'll see we earn a score. Again, this is a simple game and a great way to get started and learn the basics of Scratch. So let's get started. The first thing that you will want to do here is to make sure that you are logged in. So if you are a minor, you may want to have an adult help you create a free Scratch account. So always make sure that you have an adult's permission if you are a child or a minor before you create an account. So an adult can help you here, but it is important that you create an account or you will be unable to save your work or save your game. Okay, so let's go to create, and that's going to bring us to a new Scratch project. This is the mascot, the cat. We actually don't need it, so we are going to delete the cat and get started here. So the first thing we'll need is a backdrop. So down here in the bottom right corner, you'll see it says choose a backdrop. You can really choose any backdrop that you would like for your game. There are many, many backdrops here to choose from. There are many categories. I happen to like this simple blue sky background, so that's what I have selected. Once you click on the backdrop, it automatically places the backdrop into your game. The second thing we'll need are some sprites. So here we can choose a sprite. So a sprite is an image object we can place in our game. So choose a sprite, and I want to choose a bowl. So BOWL, and there is a bowl here that we can use to catch the apples. And if you click on bowl, it'll place the bowl in your game. Now, I'd like the bowl to be a little larger. So down here where it says size, I'm going to press or enter 150. I will increase the size a bit. That looks good. I also want to drag the bowl down to the bottom of the screen, but be careful not to place it over the edge. You do want to be able to see the entire bowl, so that's probably a good spot here. All right, next up, we need to code the bowl, program the bowl to move left and right across our screen. To do that, we're going to use some of the coding commands here, and we'll start with the Events tab. Okay, the Events tab. And you'll see the first event says when green flag is clicked. This is sort of the run button or the play button. When we press the green flag, that's what makes our game go or start. Okay? Then we'll need under control, we will need a forever block. Anything we place inside the forever block will happen forever in our game. Beneath that is one of my favorite blocks, the if-then block. We'll actually need two of those here. So let's drag out two if-then blocks. We are going to place the forever block underneath when green flag is clicked. The two if-then blocks will go inside the forever block. Notice how I placed them one on top of the other. I'm not placing the second if-then block inside the first. I'm placing it underneath, but still inside the forever block. Okay, next we need to go to sensing. Go to sensing, and you want to choose the block here that says key space pressed. Key space pressed. And we're going to place that right between the if-then. Notice how it starts to highlight when it's ready to accept that block. So if key space is pressed, and we'll drag a second one here in the other if-then when key space is pressed. All right, except we're not going to use the space key. We are going to use the left arrow and the right arrow. So we'll change the first to left arrow using the drop-down menu, and then we'll change the second to right arrow using the drop-down menu. Now, to get things to actually move in our game, we are going to use the motion blocks. So up here, I want you to find the block that says change X by 10. Change X by 10, and we are going to drag that out here, and we're also going to drag it out a second one here. Now, there is the x-axis is how we get things to move left and right. The y-axis is how we get things to move vertically or up and down. If I press the right arrow, if I press the green flag and press the right arrow key, the bowl moves to the right. But notice how it doesn't move to the left. If we want something to move to the left, we have to change this to a -10. So -10 will get things to move to the left. +10 gets things to move to the right. So let's replace this with a -10. So make sure the left arrow says change x by -10. The right arrow is change x by +10. Now let's press the green flag, give it a go, and the bowl does appear to be moving left and right across the bottom of my screen. All right, I'm going to press stop here and just pause for a brief moment. You can make sure that you have all of this done here. If your bowl is not working right now, good time to pause the video and double check this code here before we begin. All right, we'll continue, I should say. Next up here, let's go to choose a sprite. Now we need the apple. The apple sprite is pretty easy to find here. Click on the apple sprite, and the apple sprite is placed into our game. All right, next we need to code the apple and get the apple to fall from the top of the screen to the bottom. So to do that, let's go once again to events. We are going to drag out the when green flag is clicked. And under control, we will also need a forever block and also the if then block. All right, so when the game first starts, we want the apple to appear at the top of the screen. So to do that, under motion, what we're going to do is find the block that says set y2, set y2. And the top of the screen is about 180, so we're going to set y to 180. And you can actually test this out. If you drag the apple anywhere on the screen, and then you press the green flag, the apple jumps to the top of the screen. Okay. Now, we also don't want the apple to always appear in the same spot every time. So under motion, you will see a block that says go to a random position. It's the fourth block down. So if we drag out the block that says go to random position, okay, and now every time you press the green flag, you'll notice the apple does start to jump around here, okay? We're not quite done. We've got a few things here to add, but I do want to make sure, though, I have noticed that it's going to a random position first. So I think what we want to do here is switch these and place the go to random position first and then set y to 180. All right, that appears to be working better. You'll see the apple is moving across the top of the screen in a random position each time. Okay, we've got that working. Next up, we're going to drag out the forever block, and we'll place the if then block inside forever. So now we need the apple to actually move. And to get the apple to move, we are going to change its y position. So under motion, you want to find the block that says change y by. So down here, you'll see the block that says change y by 10. So let's drag out the change y by 10. And we are going to make this a -5. Negative values will move things down. Positive values move things up. If we press the green flag now, the apple starts to fall. All right, so far we are looking like we're in good shape. Now, if I press stop and the green flag again, the apple jumps back up to the top of the screen and falls. Now, what we want to do, though, is if the apple does reach the bottom of the screen, we want it to automatically jump back to the top. And we're going to do that by going to the operators. And we want to choose, looks like the 7th block down. It says blank is less than 50. Blank is less than 50. We're going to place it right between the if-then statement, if-then block. And the 50 is going to become -170. The top of the screen here is +180. The middle of the screen is 0. The bottom of the screen is about minus or -170, -180. All right, so if the apple reaches the bottom of the screen, we once again want to go to a random position, and we want to set y to 180. 80. That would be the top of the screen. And there's one more thing we need to do here, which is the bottom of the motion blocks. You want to find here where it says Y position. So if the Y position is less than negative 170, what that says is if the apple falls below negative 170, you can actually see this Y value changing each time I move the apple lower. Well, once the apple gets below negative 170, that's when the apple jumps back up to the top. So that's what's meant by Y position less than negative 170. Let's test it out here. Apple is falling, hits the bottom of the screen, it reappears in a different location near the top. I think we've had some success. All right, if your Apple is not doing this, now would be a good time to pause the video, check over this code before we go to the final step, which is to program the bowl to actually catch the apple. All right, to do that, we are still on the Apple sprite. I'm going to move this aside here. And again, the final part of this little tutorial is to code the bowl to actually catch the apple. And to do that, what we're going to do, again, make sure you're on the Apple sprite. We'll go to Events, and we're going to choose when green flag is clicked again. We'll also, under Control, use a forever block and the if-then block. All right, so under Sensing, if the apple is touching the bowl, we're going to use the very first sensing block. It says touching mouse pointer. We'll change that in a second. So in between the if-then statement, what we're going to do here is say if touching bowl. We're going to change the mouse pointer, change mouse pointer to bowl. If the apple is touching the bowl, what we want to do is have the apple go back to the top of the screen in a random position. So go to random position, and then we're also going to set Y to 180. That is the top of the screen again. So set Y to 180. All right. Let's just test this out here. If I catch the apple, it does jump back to the top of the screen. But there is one more element we can add to our game here, and that would be a score. There's no way to keep track of how many apples we have collected. So to do that, we want to go to Variables. So over here in the left-hand side, find where it says Variables, and we are going to make a variable. And that variable is going to be called Score. I suppose you could call it apples or anything really for that matter, but give your variable a name and you can just, there's nothing to change here, just leave it as is, press OK, and you will see the score displays in the top left of the screen. Now, how do we get the score to change every time we catch an apple? Over here, you will see something that says change my variable by 1. All right. What we want to do here is drag this block out, change my variable by 1, except we want to change our score by 1. Change score by 1. Now if I press the green flag and we catch an apple, you'll see the score increases by 1. This is great, but notice if I press stop and I start the game again, my score does not reset. So how can we do that? Well, there's an easy fix for that. We need to go back to variables and find the block that says set my variable to 0. And what we're going to do is actually drag that right underneath the when green flag is clicked. But rather than set my variable, we are going to say set score to 0. So now when the green flag is first clicked, it sets the score to 0. And the game then resets. All right, there are many other features that we could add to this game. You could add sound effects. We could add a game over screen. You could change the speed, add different types of fruits. So these are all things that certainly you could play around with. And perhaps in another video, we can explore and I could show you other ways that you can incorporate these types of features into your games. But hope this was a good start for anyone looking to get started with Scratch. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck with future projects.